All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started. We've got some introductions and things, so we'll give another minute or so for folks to log in. First, I want to thank everyone for joining us for another 30-minute Expert Series webinar. Today, we're going to cover the one B2W mobile app for schedule, track, and maintain. So that's going to be the overall topic today. First off, I want to do is do some introductions. My name is Mark Hooks. I'm a solutions engineer here for B2W Software. I've been with the company for 10 and a half years. I started with the training and implementation team before I was brought on to do the product demonstrations as part of our sales team. And riding shotgun with me today will be Anthony Salvatore. Anthony's also one of the solutions engineers here at B2W Software. He's going to be taking on a bit of a silent role for us today. He's going to monitor the questions panel as we go through the demonstration. This is a pretty short half-hour session, but we do encourage folks to ask questions along the way, and we'll do our absolute best to make sure we get those answered. If the question is something that applies to the overall audience, I'll do my best to address those questions during the webinar. If it's a question that's specific to your business, we may need to hold off and address those offline. And Anthony's going to do his best as we go along to address them directly as well. And we've also set some time at the end of the webinar to set aside time for questions and answers as well. So the agenda today, we're going to be going over the overall functionality of the mobile application. Then we'll actually pull up the app on my tablet and walk you through what it can do for you. The B2W mobile app, B2W's operational suite of products, or the one platform, you'll hear me mention that a few times today, was really built the right way. All the products or elements sit on a single SQL database, so they're all sharing information in real time. There's no effort that we have to do in the background to make the information go completely across the platform. With that, we can seamlessly connect scheduling, dispatching, field tracking, and maintenance workflows. And this puts real-time job and resource data at your fingertips, really optimizing productivity and reducing risk across your organization. Now, one function of the mobile app is the creation of what we refer to as a field log, which can be created connected or disconnected to the internet, totally on the go. With the field log, you'll be able to track your equipment, your employees, subcontractors, trucking, miscellaneous costs, time, materials, and much more all in one app. You'll be able to place repair requests that go to the shop or needs requests that go to the dispatcher from the app. And you'll be able to see the status of those requests without having to make those calls to see what's going on. And we'll be showing you that in the webinar today. And with each action, the information is carried across the one platform in real time. We'll also be looking at the mechanics use of the very same application, which allows them to record work orders, hours, parts, and see very detailed equipment information, again, whether they're in the shop or whether they're in the field. So now let's take a look at the app and show you how it all comes together. So bring up my tablet here. But before we go further, let me talk about some general information as well. It is a free download. There's no limit to the number of devices you can load it onto. You can use it on iPad and Android tablets, and it's the same app for all the B2W software elements. And again, this is important. The app can be used totally disconnected from the internet in the shop or in the field. So when you hit an internet connection, you synchronize the tablet, and it's a bi-directional sync. It'll pull new information onto the tablet that you've been assigned to see, and send the information that you've been collecting directly back, so you get that immediate visibility across the company from a single application. So we're going to start with what the field foreman, superintendent, maybe the project manager would see and use if they're using the tablet application. Now, I keep mentioning field logs. Field logs are a very customizable electronic tool that lets the folks in the field easily capture daily field information. So this is my tablet. I've got the app opened up. When you log in, you'll put in your username and PIN. So I'll do that with my super secret here. What you'll see next is all based on a very granular set of permissions, all set up for each individual user. So when I log in, now, some users may have both licenses. So in that case, you'd have the ability to see both the field logs and mechanics work orders. For the average field user, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see a list of your field logs, and you'll notice down the right-hand side, there's the status of those field logs. A lot of mine have been submitted. They're waiting on approval. You notice that some have been approved. There's even ones that have been rejected here that have been sent back to me from the superintendent telling me that there's some issue with that field log I need to tune up and get it back to them. So now let's show you how the foreman in the field will enter their day's information. So if we look at the button at the top right corner here for new field log, if I want to create a new field log for today's work, I hit the button and I got a few options here. I can create a totally blank field log, start from scratch, and build it from scratch. You'll also notice the next piece down is how we can interact with the scheduling program. Let's say I'm in the field and I have no idea which people and equipment have been dispatched to my job site. So using B2W Schedule, because it's all sitting on the same SQL database or same platform, now I can say, well, I don't know who's coming, but I can pull that information directly in from the scheduler. So I can create my field log based on those schedule assignments. The last option there is to copy your last field log. And that's a good option because if I'm doing anything that's the same from one day to the next, we don't want you guys to have to start from scratch. So basically, you're going to copy your last field log. It's not a blanket copy. You still get to choose what was familiar from the previous day. In this case, am I working on the same job? Am I doing some of the same work? I can copy that over. And employees, equipment, things like that. You'll also notice another button at the top of the screen, which is another way that we can both pull information from my previous day, but also interact with the schedule assignments. So in this scenario, let's say that I'm doing the same work, I'm on the same job, but I really don't know who the dispatcher sent to my job site. So I can choose to pull information from both the schedule assignment and also from my previous day. So if I hit the button, it starts that process for me. I can choose my start day, stop day. If I'm on multiple job sites within the day, I can choose which job site that I want to actually put onto my day's field log and where I want to copy information from. And then I choose, where do I want to pull that job from? Do I want to copy it from the schedule? Do I want to copy it from my field log? In that case, if I'm copying those over, I can copy the work that was in that job that I was doing the previous day. But now is the point where I want to copy from what the schedule assignment is, and that's where I pull my employees from the scheduler. And I can choose to pull in just crew assignments or individual resources that are put at my job site by the dispatcher. Same thing with equipment. And then down at the bottom, the last choice there is I'm going to pull my materials from my previous day. So the whole process now is we're looking at how multiple elements are feeding into one central mobile app. When I hit create, it's going to do exactly what I told the system to do. It's going to pull the information and start the process so I'm not having to start from scratch. And this is what our field log looks like. And we're going to talk about just a little bit about the customizations you can make here, but let's go into what I just did. When I go into the grid view, it did exactly what I told it to do. It pulled the job over that I wanted to copy over. It copied my people and my equipment from the scheduler or for the dispatcher. And then it pulled in the cost codes, it pulled in the work that I'm doing, but you'll notice it also zeroed out my previous day's quantity in hours. And you'll also see that my superintendent has set up production targets for me as well. This is what they think I need to hit day by day by day to keep this job on track. So from this one screen, this is really where the foreman spends really a bulk of their time. So if I'm going to put in my hours and my quantities here, just tap in and say, yep, we hit that 400 a day. And yep, we put in 200 feet of pipe. And I'm going to choose that my guys have split their day, a 10-hour day, half and half. So I really can highlight the entire page and put in those 5 hours for each section, copy that to my equipment, and then in seconds, I've applied my quantity, my employee hours, and my equipment hours to my day. So it's that easy to have the systems really all tie together to pull in so that the guys can very easily collect their information. And now, according to what accounting system you have, we can send this information over to payroll for your employee hours. Some systems let us put your equipment hours over there as well. So again, it's one central data capture point here that we can now feed out to give the information in the background. But also there's really a lot more going on here. If I needed to add to that day, I can pull in additional jobs. I can have more than one job on a single day in the app. I can pull in additional work, additional employees, additional equipment, all from one central screen to make the copy that I've chosen to create, or the information I've chosen to create to pull from schedule. Now it can be added to make it day specific. I did mention earlier that this was very customizable. So I'm going to go back out to the main page here for the field log. You'll notice down the left-hand side, these are the different sections that I have open for the field log today. And it's for my version of the field log. We'll talk about that a little bit too. The customizations that we'll be able to teach you how to make and you can manage on your own would be you'd be able to rename any of those sections. Maybe the section for production accounts, which is where I'd catch my quantities, means that you could change that to daily quantities or foreman's daily quantities or whatever you want to do to make it more familiar to your guys. You could open up more sections. We have the availability to capture subcontractor hours, trucking, time and material, miscellaneous cost, and a lot more. So there's things that I have hidden there based on the version that I wanted this guy to have when he opens up his day. And that's all based on what we refer to as business units that you'll see there. You can have a paving business unit that has an entirely different look and feel, a site business unit. So it gives you really unlimited ways that you can set this field log up so that the guys see exactly what you want them to see and capture the information you want them to capture. Question, is the option to set production goals only available if using schedule along with track? Actually, the production targets, it's really in two different places. You could, as the scheduler, you could set your production targets on the schedule screen, and that feeds into the job and seen by the guys in track. Or without schedule, if you're just using our track system, you can set those production targets in the job itself, and they'll feed into the field log. So it really is used in multiple products, again, showing you how all the different elements that we have are sharing the use of different parts of the system. Good question. So in addition to being able to creating different versions and renaming the sections, you can actually remove fields from any section. You can add your own custom fields in about 6 or 7 different styles. So if you take the weather field, it's one that I created from scratch. It's cloudy and foggy. Did you have a safety meeting? Yep. What'd you talk about? So again, unlimited ways that you can really create the field log to look and feel the way it's most comfortable for your guys, but also to collect the information that you're looking for. So you keep it as simple or as detailed as you want. Some of the other features in the back end of the field log application, you can check for mistakes. If you go right here, there's about 35 different warnings that we have that we can process and turn on and turn off. You can even set the different severities. Is it a hard warning that they have to fix, or is it a soft warning that's something that's more of a, hey, go look at this? You determine how those warnings fire off, and the guy can validate and look at those warnings throughout the day. And in this case, it brings me right down to my material section, and it shows you what the problem is. There's no used or delivered quantities in the material that I copied over. I'd go into the appropriate cost code, put in my quantity, and now I can come back, revalidate, and it's going to show me that I've caught all the warnings for this field log. Some of the other pieces that the functionality that you can use in the background, you can take photos. From the attachment section here, I can add pictures and photo from the camera. So this could be job site conditions that you're taking a picture of. This could be documents that you need to attach to this, you take a quick snapshot of, but that's now going to go back with this field log back over to the office. You can add notes in almost every section of the field log. You'll see the small notes icon right down here at the very bottom. That opens up a notes page that you can type into with any kind of internet or Wi-Fi connection. You can talk directly into the device. So voice to text recognition, also making it really easy for the guys to get their information in there. We also have time and material sign off. I'm just going to add another little section to my field log. I'm going to open up a different piece here called DNN, and you'll notice time and material now just populated, so you can capture your production quantities as well as the non-production or work that was never in the original scope of the job. And all from that grid view. If you had that turned on initially, you could have gone right here. I need to add time and material. Maybe he told me to go over and knock down a building. And then I can say, well, that guy and that piece of equipment spent a couple hours over there. I can add those hours in, and then now I can walk over and say, I really do need a signature on that extra work. I need it signed. It will show a brief synopsis, a nice little report that shows everything that was done for that time and material work, and you can present this with or without dollar values on it. They can put notes in, but ultimately get your signature to come in, your customer to come in, sign it off, save it, and that's now a file PDF that's going to go back with your field log back to the office to let them know that they need to bill for that extra work. There's also employee sign-off we can do. If I come back under the menu, you can go to your field log time cards. In this case, I'm the foreman walking around and telling the guys I need their signature. I walk over to Aaron. He can review the hours that he's going to sign off. When he hits sign, you can even set up questions that they have to answer, like in this case, did they have a safety meeting today? I'm going to sign off, say, yep, we did, sign it off, hit done and save. And that also is now a PDF that's stored alongside that field log as it goes back to the office, and it gets stored and saved back in the server. You can also do approvals if you have a superintendent who's using the tablet. If you'll notice here, if I go into one of my submitted field logs, if I'm one of those guys that has permission to do the approval process directly here, you'll see that I can approve, reject field logs. So if I do the approval process, that's saying it's good, it's ready to go over to accounting, or reject, it would go back with notes on it to the end user. They would address whatever questions I have and resubmit that for me to approve again. Oh, and the other thing I didn't show you can also enter meter readings here on the field log as well. So if you enter your meter readings into your equipment profile, that's actually also shared across the platform over to B2W Maintain, and that's going to help auto-create the preventative maintenance requests for your equipment based on the information you put here on the field log. But you can see here, if you look under the menu, there's a lot more I keep kind of alluding to over here. Now, this is my login. I can do everything. I have a track license as well as a mechanic's license. So there's a lot going on in this drop down. For the average field user, one of the things that they'll be able to do is create a repair request. So they'll be able to create a request for any piece of equipment they see that has problems. They'll also be able to see the status of those requests. Has it been assigned? Has it been scheduled? And again, that's going to reduce some of those calls back over to the shop to find out what's going on with their equipment. They'll also be able to create needs requests. So if they need a new piece of equipment, they need a new labor type, they need a crew, they can send that over and see that as well. Question real quick, can you see how many hours each laborer has worked throughout the week over multiple logs? Absolutely. Let me finish up the needs piece here and I'll go back and show you what that looks like. In this case, I've got, a needs for a dozer operator, a bobcat, and a general laborer. You can see the status of that as well. As the dispatcher gets this in his hands using B2W Schedule, as they make that assignment, I'll be able to see the update, and I'll also be able to see the asset, whether it was a person, a piece of equipment, or a crew that was assigned to my need. And if I go back to one of my field logs, let me go back to the one that we were just looking at, and I go back to the grid view. This one I don't have it turned on, but there is a feature that would show week-to-date hours right here, so you could keep track of the hours that are coming in across all the different field logs. So that is a feature that we can turn on and expose right here. Just a little button, brings up a little tooltip and shows exactly how many hours week-to-date, and your company would decide what the week means, what dates we're looking at if we're looking at week-to-date hours. All right, the last thing I want to talk about here too is if you have a schedule, each of your track users with our system will get a free read-only copy of the schedule program. So track users can look at the schedule, but they can't really do anything. So directly from their tablet with an internet connection, they'd be able to go in and actually see the scheduled assignments. And again, based on the permissions that they've been given on what jobs and things can see, that would narrow this list down to their respective jobs. But they'd be able to go in and look under a job site, see what crew is there. If they needed to contact somebody, they could actually tap on and see contact information and things like that, see a map view of the schedule. But again, it's just another one of those pieces that we add that shows how this one single app can really span multiple products to really make some efficiencies in your jobs. And the last piece here too is if you have the superintendent, say, using this app, and he needs to get back to job information. With an internet connection, they can actually get back into the actual job that you have stored back on the server, maybe to look at higher level reports, maybe look at some of the documents and things that you've got stored over at the job level. So that gives you a really good look at what you can do with the Field app, but also how all the other elements communicate. And all of this really creates huge efficiencies in day-to-day operations. So now we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to log in as a mechanic, same app. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to log out here as myself, and now I'm going to log back into the same app as a mechanic. So from here, I'm going to switch names. I'm going to put my pen, another super secret pen number, a pen in there. And now you can see it's a totally different look and feel, all just based on my login. Because again, every user that logs into the system will have their own unique username and password. So here I can see my field logs. If I've been given permission, I can create my work orders. I can create new work orders on the fly. So basically the shop manager, these are the work orders that he's assigned me in our maintenance program. And now the shop manager's exposed those on my tablet app. And I can tap into any of those, see how many work order items I have. I can go into any of those individual items within a work order. I can see the full list of details. I can see comments here, and just like you saw back on the Field app, I can also add additional comments with voice to text or typing into the program. Same attachments feature. When say the guy in the field took a picture of this piece of equipment, said I got a broken windshield, he took a quick snapshot of it. That comes over with this work order, so I now as a mechanic know what I have to do, and I can use the same camera app that you have in the app to take pictures, maybe post repair pictures, documents, whatever you need to do to document what you do on the work order. I can also put my hours here. So if I need to add hours, come right here, replace the windshield, and then I can go down and put the appropriate hours. So it took me 3 hours to do the work, save that, and now I can go on to my next item, or I can come in and put parts as well. I can add custom parts. You'll notice that button at the top. That's if I go get a part from the shop, from down at the Napa or whatever, and I need to pick it up and it's not part of my database, I can add that in. But ultimately, I can come here and say I'm looking for a windshield, type it in. From the windshield, I can pick it, add quantities, throw my quantities in there. And if you're using our inventory piece within B2W Maintain, and I can choose what location I'm actually pulling that. It's off of drawer 3 off my service truck, done and done. So now that's going to automatically deduct from the B2W Maintain product from my inventory when I complete this work order. I can go right back to my work order and jump into my next item, or I can go here and go back to my home page and manage my work orders. But again, a lot going on in the back of this program for the mechanic as well. If he does not have the permission to create new work orders on the fly, and that's permissions button there, then he would put in a repair request just like the guys in the field, and it would go through the same processes back in the shop to be assigned to a mechanic. He can get to his work orders. As I mentioned, when I just put my hours into that work order, it automatically creates a timesheet for me, because this system, also as well as the Field app, we can take the mechanic hours now and get them out and get them over to your accounting system without having to re-enter that data. So if I go in now, I can see the hours, I can see the reported hours, make sure everything looks okay. We can also put non-wrench time hours. So if I need to add in time for a safety meeting, I come here, safety meeting, and instead of charging it to the equipment, I'm going to charge it to one of those overhead accounts, and this would be your list of cost codes for the non-wrench time work that we're going to do. And then I put 2 hours into a safety meeting, save, and now I can submit that, put notes on it, and get it back over to the shop. One more thing here, and this is a really nice feature, that the mechanic will have full visibility for all the equipment that he's working on. So when he goes into the equipment section of the app, he'll be able to look back again over into the Maintain system, and this is, again, totally disconnected. This is all downloaded onto the app with the synchronization. He'll be able to see the general information on the equipment. He'll be able to see the equipment specs. He'll be able to see component specs on the equipment. If there's warranties, end-to-end component warranties on the equipment. Any attachments, maybe you have attached service manuals or wiring schematics, or in this case, hard copy warranty information that the guy can get to while he's out there working on the equipment. He'll be able to see the meter readings, life to date, the most recent reading. He'll also be able to enter the read as he's completing his work orders, which again, works across the program to help fire off those preventative maintenance programs. There's a short parts list that's been created for this piece of equipment. And here's a big one. It's all the history, but not what's been done, what also is going to be done on that piece of equipment. So I can see here everything that's been completed or scheduled on that piece of equipment. So if any of these prior repairs can help me get the current repair taken care of, I can go in, tap into these, and look at what the old work order had in it to help me with what I'm doing today. So really, it's one app that's giving you a whole lot of visibility here for the mechanic to get not only his work orders done, but his time sheets, equipment information, everything that's there. You also have a full help menu, so if you need help with anything in the program, you pull it up, easy to get you through any of the help, not just again for the mechanic, but also the field app and anything that can happen in the background. Well, guys, we're running almost out of time, so that really does conclude today's webinar on the B2W mobile app. I know we went over a lot of information in a real short period of time today, and there was a lot to take in. We hope that you folks were able to see how the B2W mobile app creates a lot of efficiencies by transferring data really across the one platform in real time. And we all know time is money. For those of you who are currently using the B2W mobile app, I hope you're able to pick up a few things to make your use of the app more powerful on the job or in the shop. So if there's any questions, we'll give a couple minutes to see if there's any last minute questions. You know, as always, we're going to be emailing you out a link to this webinar. So if there's folks that couldn't make it today, you can share that link with them and they can take a look at today's webinar. If there's any folks, who for our existing customers who, have any questions about what you saw today, you can use the phone number there to call our support department. For folks who want to see demonstrations, you can call our sales department. Be glad to do more in-depth demonstrations for any of the features you saw today. Well, I want to thank you for attending and joining us. I want you all to have a really good day, and we hope to see you at the next webinar. Take care, guys.